For educators, a day at the office is typically one surrounded by desks, books, notebooks, whiteboards, and of course, students eager to learn. It's definitely a familiar scene to the instructor at the head of this classroom on the campus of Spokane Falls Community College. His name is Bill Holcomb, a man who's been teaching one thing or another year-round for over 50 years. For the past 30, Bill has been teaching small business courses from late September to late May within the confines of the traditional classroom. However, for the rest of the year, the traditional gives way to a teaching environment far more wide open, as Bill, the college teacher, morphs into the man they call Barnacle Bill, one of the area's best sailing instructors.
My folks had a place up at Priest Lake, and my brother Bob and I bought a 16-foot sailboat when we were teenagers, and so it started young, and my dad was definitely instrumental in getting us to do that. Sailing is an interesting game because you're trying to harness the power of nature to get the boat to go someplace, and so you can't just put the engine in gear and go. You have to think about what's your sail angle to the breeze, how much breeze have you got, so it's challenging. The quiet of it is amazing. The sound of the little bow wave and the gurgling of the water is just real entertaining and relaxing.
Even though Bill's love affair with sailing developed as a teenager, he admits his passion for the sport played only a minor role in his decision years later to start giving lessons and eventually become a sought-after instructor.
My family had a sailboat operation in Spokane, and we were one of the very few, and I said, gee, I've got to create a demand. And so we started doing free Thursday night ground school sessions, and then if somebody was interested enough, then we'd put together an on-the-water private lesson. So the lessons part came about as part of a marketing effort, and it worked. Now, we sold that business 25 years ago, but hi guys. People kept calling me or coming down to the boat, and that's continued on, and it's lots of fun to do. Let's go sailing.
Okay.
Like any other sport, sailing has its own language, which according to Bill is the perfect place to start when working with beginners.
That's probably one of the biggest intimidators, is that there's some terminology. The front of the boat, the pointy end of the boat, that's the bow. The flat part of the boat, that's the stern or the transom. If we're looking towards the bow, we're looking forward. If we're looking towards the transom, we're looking aft. And so, you work the terminology in that first 2 or 3 hour lesson. But aside from that, you need to have a knowledge of, well, how am I going to get the sails up so they're going to work? So what are the ropes I'm going to pull there? And those are called halyards. And then once the sails are up, then we've got to have them at an angle to the wind, and the way we do that is with other ropes that are called sheets. And so you have to have a knowledge of which rope does what. See how that gets nice and flat then? Most of the boats 30 feet long and smaller don't have steering wheels, they have a tiller. And so that's one of those things that all of the beginners have to learn, that we're trying to turn the back of the boat, not the front of the boat, and have it pivot around the keel.
Tacking.
Your basic maneuvers, when we want to turn the boat with the bow of the boat passing through the eye of the wind, we call that a tack. If we turn the boat so that the transom of the boat turns through the eye of the wind, we call that a jibe. And so there's some of these things that you just learn. I try pretty hard to keep things as untechnical as possible. Nicely done, crew.
It's been said that a bad day sailing is 100 times better than a good day at work. And no one would agree with that more than Barnacle Bill, whose mission every time out when giving a lesson is to make sure that the experience on the water for each of his students is an enjoyable one.
If it's not fun, why bother? I mean, sailing is easy. A person after a 3 hour lesson can get into a sailboat and go from point A to point B, and there's a lot of people, that's all they want to do. They just want to go out and drift around and have fun, not be studious. Others of us want to get the most out of the boat and the most out of the wind pressure that we have, and so we study more. I mean, I've got almost 200 sailing books at home, and I'm often rereading either all or parts of those two, because you forget things. I think that if you're passionate about something, there's a great enjoyment in being able to pass on that passion, that appreciation to other people, and to be able to focus on the students and see them, all of a sudden the light clicks and they get it, and there's a great pleasure personally in seeing that happen.
If you have an idea for Northwest Profiles, send it to KSPS TV, 3911 South Regal, Spokane, Washington 99223. Northwest Profiles is a presentation of KSPS Public Television.